Hello and welcome. My name is Promise Honor and Promise Odera Honor actually. And I want to speak briefly on this topic, Africa's development and sustainability. Do bear with me, trying to make sure this thing is correct. But anyway, when we talk about Africa's development, we're talking about how AU, which is African Union, and ECOWAS can work together to sustain Africa, to help Africa develop. A lot of the challenges we have in Nigeria, other countries are facing it. Most likely, or the most common, is the corruption, the corrupt leaders. Like, we have a lot of corruption in Africa, and there's a lot of long-standing leaders, you know. Some countries have been ruled for many, many years by the same person, and things are not changing for good. As an Uber driver, I've been speaking to people, sometimes Africans, South Africans, Moroccans, and I ask questions. I try to find out exactly how things are. Only a Moroccan have actually said something nice about Morocco, because it's a kingdom and he says the king is good, you know. Now, a lot of Nigerians use the Royal Air Maroc. A lot of Africans use the Royal Air Maroc because they're very, they're good, they're working. If I want to go to Nigeria from the UK, it's one of the options I will consider. 4 hours to Casablanca and then probably 3 hours to Lagos. So it's good. And they land first thing in the morning in Lagos when I used it. So now, South Africa is also good with what Ruto is doing. Kenyans also have a good president. These guys are stepping up to the world power, to the world stage, speaking to world powers, trying to make people understand that Africa should not be taking the back seat anymore. And in Nigeria, we are still like meddling in the mud, you know, discussing issues that doesn't make sense, you know, messing about with ourselves. But there's something I want to speak about in terms of Africa. This is summer. And being an Uber driver, I pick a lot of people coming back from the airport or people going to holidays and stuff. And then I'm beginning to think, what if Africans start having holidays in Africa? That's the whole point. That's what I want to talk about. Like, what if we revolve that money in Africa? First off, I heard, I'm not sure, some countries you can travel into without visa. I don't know if it's true for Nigeria. I don't know if other countries of Africa can just come into Nigeria without visa. I don't know if that's what ECOWAS has achieved or trying to achieve. But we need to have our own union. We have something called African Union, but I don't even know if that's still like a meeting or holding. I know probably ECOWAS is still there because Tinubu is the current president select of Nigeria. Is sharing that. But then we have to work together in Africa to sort of develop Africa and sustain Africa. By, of course, having one currency would be good. Yeah, backed up by gold and mineral resources would be also good. BRICS is coming, so it's also going to be, you know, working in our favor if we can unite and sort of get on board with that. But then decide a, you know, particular currency, just like the EU. You know, just like the EU, we need to have a common economic interest in a way to help the region, to help Africa, because I mean, Africa is rich. In fact, the whole world depends on Africa. So if the whole world depends on Africa, only Congo alone has a whole lot of minerals. Nigeria has crude, has, you know, I was having a conversation with somebody. He's from Morocco, so he was telling me that Nigeria has the highest GDP in Africa. We're the richest people. I said, you're lying. So Nigeria is poor. Nigeria is the poorest country in the whole world, not even in Africa. Because even though our GDP is 477 billion, Egypt is 476 billion, but Egypt is almost less than half of Nigeria. Nigeria is about 200 million, estimatively. We are even more than, if you really, really count Nigerians, we are even close to 500 million. That's the honest truth. Maybe those who are resident in Nigeria are probably about 300 million. I mean, they just capped that figure because they don't want to blow things out of proportion. But let's say we do the proper census, we have way more Nigerians that was accounted for. And they don't want to count Nigerians in America, Nigerians in London, Nigerians, you know, everywhere. Hi Tolu, send me a request if you're free, sir. So yeah, talking about Africans' development, I was thinking Europeans leave their country to go to another European country. Say, for example, if you're living in France, you leave France and probably travel to London for holidays. If you're in London, you travel from London to Paris. If you're in Paris, you probably go to, so there is that going to different European countries. And as they go there, of course, they have the development, they stay in hotels, they spend money on tourism and all of that things, right? But in Africa, how many Africans, say for example, if I use myself for example, I like flying African Airways, apart from Egypt Air, because I've had a bad experience with them. But apart from them, I've actually flown Moroccan Airway, which is Royal Air Maroc, Ethiopia, very nice, and which other country have I flown? Maybe and then Nigerian Airways when they are there, Arik, before it was down. Now, apart from that, how many of us have actually been? I mean, if I ask the two people on live right now, like Tolu and Sandy, have you ever been to any African country? The answer is probably, Tolu, you travel a lot, maybe you have. But then we need to develop that culture of going to holidays in other African countries. As Africans, not just we that are abroad, but Africans in Africa need to develop the culture of traveling from Africa, one African country to the next. And that way, see, I picked up an American and he said that the New York Times in America put up that London is one of the best destinations for this summer. And that's why you had a lot of Americans in London this season for holiday. So these things are intentional because these guys are allies and they are fighting the war in Russia and Ukraine together. Sometimes they know, okay, money is leaving our shores. Let's try and keep what we have here instead of our people, traveling out. Hello, Sandy. You see? So Africans need to help Africa grow. Yes, you have security challenge. But, say for example, Egyptians, because there's this thing with Africa that I don't really like, I don't really understand. A part of Africa is Arabic in nature or in culture. Yeah? And then you have some that are very civilized or like British or English or westernized, right? So you have that sort of, what I call it, unbalance in the culture of these two people. But most, we have Christian and Muslim. So say for example, even if you're from Algeria, you're from Senegal or any Muslim country in Africa, you can still come to the Muslim part of Nigeria and enjoy yourself. There's a lot of cities in the north that are Muslim, part of Nigeria. Kanu, Kaduna, you can go there and feel like you're yourself. And then, of course, if you are, from a Christian country like South Africa or... I'm not even saying that you should stick to your religion. But all I'm trying to say is, any sort of Nigerians always flying out, and you see our celebrities, they're taking pictures. I'm in London. Hi, my boss. Twale, good evening, sir.
My brother, how are you now?
Baba, I thank God, though. I thank God. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yes, so.
Sorry, I'm enjoying your.
It just came to my head because I doing Uber, which I do on the side right now. I just keep meeting people from other European countries, and they feel good when they come here. Americans, they feel good when they come to London. Yes, London is a hub, but we could actually start small. Even though Lagos might not be as beautiful as London or New York or Paris, Lagos is still a place of fun. So what if we start making Lagos a destination for holiday? What if we start making Cairo a place for holiday? What if we start making Casablanca a place for holiday? What if we start keeping our money in Africa? What if we develop a common passport like the EU on AU, and then I think Kenya did it, actually saying that they're opening their shores to any African country. What if we say, as Africans, we can travel within every other place, or even if you have to get a visa, just for it to just make sense, just pay like $30 or $20, like what British will pay if they want to go to America to get a visa. But then we need to develop a culture to develop Africa and sustain Africa. Do you understand?
Yeah.
We need to have a way of making Africa a destination for us, so that
It's not until you get to London that you're validated. It's not until you get to New York that you feel like you are posh or you belong or you're a celebrity. You should make something cool. And there's this guy that I met. He always goes to other African countries and he enjoys himself. And I really, really appreciate that guy. You know, because, say for example, let me ask you directly, Tolu, how many countries in Africa have you been to?
Um, 12.
On holiday?
Yes.
Great.
No.
Tell me about your experience.
Mixture of holidays and work.
Well, it's fine. At least you have an experience, right? You have an experience. Share the experience. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I've been to Liberia, I've been to Senegal, I've been to Ethiopia, I've been to Seychelles, I've been to Madagascar, I've been to Kenya, I've been to Mauritius, I've been to Congo, I've been to Angola, I've been to Sierra Leone, I've been to Ghana.
Wow.
And finally, I've been to
South Africa?
Benin Republic. No, South Africa is my next. I'm supposed to be in South Africa October, but I changed my mind. I'm going to Canada, so I'm not going to. I changed my mind. Yeah,
are you
but
going on holiday or you just got back?
no,
I know you saw. You just got back.
I went
you're flying
I went
a
to
lot.
Portugal and then from there to the States.
Your
I travel
mileage is crazy. You fly a lot. Oh man.
Yeah,
so tell me about it. Tell me about it. Tell me about your. Where do you love the most? What's the food like? Who received you more? Where do you like the people more? Because for me, holidays for me is two things: the people and the, of course, hospitality. But more for me is not about how nice your city is. It's about the people, how welcoming. How do you, how do the people? How are the people? Do you understand? To others or to tourists, or how do you perceive the people? The way they treat you, the way they welcome you. So what can you say about that in your experiences?
Yeah, actually, my own experience, the best that I've experienced so far is Seychelles. Very lovely country. 86,000 people and
1,000 only.
86.
86. Okay.
86. Very lovely, and the food is nice. It's more or less a mixture of African and European culture, I'll say. So they're really accommodating. They want to learn my own culture too. They want to know who am I, where am I coming from, what kind of food do I like to eat, and everything. And of course, I'm spending my money, so they want to get my money as well. They want to take a bit of my pocket. But yet, I really enjoyed Seychelles. The next one I enjoyed the most is Ghana. Ghanaians are very, very accommodating. I used to go to Ghana every time I go to Africa. Actually, I used to step in Ghana. I stopped doing that 2 years ago. But before, I used to pop in Ghana, spend 3 days.
I remember that picture, that video you did of their airport.
It's a very lovely airport. Yeah, it's a very lovely airport.
But I think they're going to Abuja now. Abuja airport is okay now. I think we are coming up.
Yeah, and Lagos. And the new
Lagos. I've not been to the new one in Lagos, but yeah.
It's very nice. I've not flown from there before, but I think it's very nice. So my point is, Ghana and Seychelles, for me, they are very, very accommodating there. And Kenya. So I've got 3 countries in my mind I can tell you. Ghana, lovely. The food is very similar to Nigerian food. They've got jollof rice. They've got pounded yam. They've got all the kinds of food we eat in Nigeria. But the difference is just that a bit of taste.
Did you eat washe or sito?
I ate washe and I ate shito and rice is very close to shinkafa in Hausa land. Shinkafa is rice. Shinkafa is rice made with suya pepper and some bit of oil. That's what's called shinkafa. And very close to what is shito in Ghana. So a bit of similarities, but it's just the process that's different. Okay, so I'll say Ghana, lovely. Kenya, lovely. Seychelles, very, very lovely. But about the topic you're trying to address today, man, I was very interested in that topic because I wrote one of the
Before
chapters
you
of
go any further, massive congratulations to you on your PhD achievement.
Yeah,
So you are now Professor Tulumani. So man, that's a massive feat. Congratulations.
I'm still at my humble self. I'm still
I
my humble
know,
self.
but it's a big feat, man. I mean, I'm super proud of you. I remember when we jammed in that train station in Canning Town years ago. I don't know if you still remember. And I was asking you what's the point of all the education. Remember? And you told me my wife must have a master's and I must have a PhD. Like, this guy, you're nuts. And look at you today, but it's a lot of commitment and it's a lot of sacrifice and service actually.
Yeah, it's a lot.
To be able to get to where you are. And I must applaud you. You've done really well. And congratulations to you on that. So go ahead, yeah.
Thank you. Like what interests me about the topic today was about when you mentioned Sharia and the impact of Sharia law, and also not Sharia law actually, the impact of the culture, Islamic culture across West Africa, and also the impact of the synergy, the kind of relationship between the Anglophone, the British colony, and the effect that Sharia law or Sharia do play in West Africa. That's what caught my attention, right? So, if you look at ECOWAS, for example, we've got 16 states, we've got 15 countries in ECOWAS, okay, and 9 of those countries have huge population of Muslims. Now, we've got a total of about 420 million people in West Africa. And I can tell you that we've got half of that population as Muslims. A whole half. So, and it's a very serious issue because when you look at African development as a whole, and then you factor in the relationship between countries and the relationship between territories, you will find out that we are in trouble. Now, relationship between countries in terms of how do we relate with each other? How do we run? How do we interact? Look at Nigeria and Ghana. There's a serious competition in that region. You may not understand, but when it comes to policy issues, Nigeria and Ghana are never on the same page. Okay? Now, if we move away from that and we move into the relationship between territories, look at the relationship between Saudi Arabia and many African countries in terms of religion. Now, look at the incompatibility of Sharia law or Islamic law with the English law. And even in Nigeria, let me just forget about Ghana and Senegal and Ivory Coast for now. Let's go back. Let's stay in Nigeria for once. In Nigeria, we have people that do not obey the common law, the English law, the normal law. They only follow the Sharia law. And I remember about 8 or 10 weeks ago, I was on this program with you, and we talked about the impact of Sharia in the North. And all these simple differences crystallizes into bigger picture and affects our development as a country, as a territory, or as a continent. Because there's no way you will be talking about development in Africa without talking about the relationship of respective member states with third countries like Europe and America and Russia, Canada, and even Saudi Arabia. So religion plays a very different role in that whole concept. So my point is that we can't develop as a country or as a nation if we don't have a understanding about the uniqueness of our people. And secondly, we need to get ourselves away from the traditional Christian belief or Islamic belief. And I'll tell you what I'm trying to say. I'm a Christian, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't be a Christian. I'm only saying that the political side of Christianity has to be cut short. So, for instance, before we make a decision in Nigeria, we're talking about, oh, we need to pray. We need to call all the Christian leaders to pray for Nigeria, pray for this and pray for that. There's no active, conscious effort to make things right in the country. Everything is all about prayer. Go and pray every small thing. You go and pray. No, there are realities that it's not all about prayer. The same thing as the Muslim people. It's not everything about going to the mosque, and there are things you need to do right. Look at this country. Look at the UK, for instance. They don't pray. They don't go to church and go and be praying to God. I'm not saying you shouldn't pray to God. I'm only telling you that there are things that you have to do, and you can't substitute spirituality for reality. Okay, so we need to get that straight first. And secondly, we need to cut ourselves out of the shackles of colonialism. Now, if you look at what's going on in the Niger Republic, do you see what happened yesterday?
No.
The president of Niger, the current military junta, has said he's giving France 48 hours to leave Niger.
Oh, yeah, I saw the response from Macron saying he doesn't have the rights. That he rather listen to Nigeria. I was like, what's that?
It's very stupid to say that.
What? You can't call the president. Wait, you can't call the president of France stupid, man.
No, I can say that because
at the end of the day, they regard them as illegal government or illegitimate government.
That's the problem. What makes you see? I have a problem with that. And if we are going to be honest about the discussion about Africa and development, we need to understand how democracy works.
But what you have in Nigeria is not democracy per se. It's a military coup.
How do you define democracy? Let me ask you that question. And now, remember, we are talking about African development now. How do you?
Okay. Let's come back. I think we're now switching to something else.
No, we're not even switching. No. It's part of the development because we need to fashion a African style of democracy, not the European style. The European style of democracy has failed even the Europeans. If you come to Europe and look at Europe properly, you will understand that there's no proper democracy even in Europe. Let me tell you something. Do you know press people, the publishers and the pressmen? UK has jailed more pressmen than Russia. Go and
real?
check. I'm telling you.
Where are you quoting this from?
Do your search. Do your search. I'm not gonna go on. See, this word
men have been arrested in this country.
There are more pressmen in prison. Read my lips. There are more pressmen in prison in the UK than in Russia. Check. Do your findings.
From what year? From what year this arrested?
Do your findings as of tonight.
Is it currently? Is this recently?
Just Google. Just do Google. Google is not far from you. Just type. It's not a big deal. Just do your research, please. I'm not just saying things. I'm telling you from facts. How do you define that, my brother? Secondly, what makes you think that the Western style of democracy is applicable in Africa?
No, first of all, I've said many times that I have a problem with democracy, but not to say that that there is an African way of democracy. For me, I have because the way I look at it, my chain of thought is that if China is a communist place and they've done so much development for themselves, if Russia is whatever they are, I don't even know if they are socialists or whatever, but then they are doing well for themselves, then it doesn't matter how you get into government. The most important thing is that when you are in government, fix the country. And I've said it many times, I don't care who fixes Nigeria, whether you are from Nigeria, from Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, anywhere you're from, just fix the country. Now, I'm going to go back on your point a little bit and lay a better foundation. You see?
No, I want to drive on my point, and I'll give me one
Okay,
moment.
go
Let me
ahead.
just drive on my point quickly. And so, I was saying that in terms of African development and ECOWAS and the rest of all those countries, we need to define what democracy means for Africa. Very, very, very important. Okay. Now, if you notice the military junta, we've got 4 or 5 military junta now in West Africa. We've got
that is up to 19.
No,
you mean
19
coups? But
we've got Burkina Faso, we've got Mali.
Oh no,
we've got
there's so many attempts that also we are foiled. But I think the guy that was saying on TV said there was 19. Some of them were successful, some of them were not. And then you know the one that is currently in Nigeria.
The one in West Africa is what I'm focusing right now with. Senegal, Burkina Faso, Mali. Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, Niger Republic, and one more. There are 4 or 5 of them, and they're all very close to each other. Okay, and guess what? There's a unique characteristic of all those junta. Ask me what?
What?
Popular opinion. They have massive support of their people. Now,
okay.
What is?
Let me phrase the question since you're already going that way.
Yeah.
Let's do Burkina Faso or maybe Mali. Are they better? Are they getting better since they are junta?
You can't define. You can't calculate development.
No, you can't. If let's say we talk about Libya, for example, Libya with Gaddafi or Libya without Gaddafi, everybody knows that Libya with Gaddafi.
No, you can't do that. You know why? The 5 West African countries that have military presidents right now are part of what we call UMOA. UEMOA. I can't remember the French acronym, okay? They're the Francophone part of ECOWAS, all right? They're also part of the West African Economic and Monetary Union, YMO, okay? And they all spend franc. And they deposit 51% of their GDP and income in France for the past 55 years. So when you are talking about development today, just less than 100 days, it's unfair to give me a kind of parameter and ask me, oh, what's the development?
When I also heard that, I felt bad. I was like, why are they really paying?
51%.
Why are they really paying? So are you saying that what we have now is sort of a response to that money, or to say we're not paying any money to you?
Response. Exactly my point. There's a response.
That's established. I cannot dispute that. I'm not going to fight that. But what I'm saying is, let's go back. Let's go back.
No.
Let's go back. Hold on. Okay, have you landed or?
No. I've not landed. I'll just land and I'll allow you to respond. There is a kind of response if we want to develop as a continent, and we also want to be sustainable. Then we must understand our politics and our people. Now, if you ask me personally, there's a problem in Africa, because for the very first time, there's a popular opinion, there's a popular support of the military junta in those places. It doesn't happen. I can take you back in history. I can stay with Nigeria if you want me. I can take you to the West African, East Africa if you want me. Let me stay with Nigeria. During the 13, 14 years of military rule in Nigeria, there was no popular opinion of military rule. There was a divided opinion. Abacha, Babangida, Buhari, Gowon, Ironsi, Murtala Muhammad.
like Murtala Mohammed, no?
He only survived. He only survived for 6 months. He was doing well, but it was still a military coup. There was a divided public opinion as to whether or not that is an acceptable system of government. But this is the very first time that West Africa is having some set of people taking over as presidents, military presidents, and their own people, the public, are in support. That's a problem. That's a big problem. Why? Because for the past 55 years, these people have been impoverished by France. 51%. Do you know what that means, bro? Let me tell you something. 51% means that if I make £1 as a country, 55p of that money goes to France. Whatever is left, security, World Bank deposit, I'll pay my debt, I'll run my country, I'll pay salaries from the little that is left. That's the meaning of what is happening to these people for the past 55 years. Secondly, Niger has the third highest deposit of uranium in the world.
Do you know the funny thing in what you are saying is that you don't even know that Nigeria is also in the same issue?
No, I don't want to go. I want to see.
They use IMF schedules. You see,
I don't even want to mention Nigeria because if I mention,
they are angry that China is giving us loans, and you see, let me tell you something, Tolu.
I won't even talk about
IMF. Unless we are able to come round on a table and really face education, discovery, science, development, industrialization, we are going to be slaves to the rest of the world.
Yep. All right.
I'm so pleased with South Africa, and I'm pleased with South Africa because nobody knows that South Africa is a nuclear warhead or with nuclear power. It took America to sort of like close them down so they cannot produce nuclear weapons, but at least they produce the money. They produce weapons. So South Africa is doing well. So when that guy was trying to tell me how Nigeria is, I said, listen, Nigeria might have billionaires and whatever, but Nigeria is a problem. Because if you compare our GDP, but if you compare our HDI, you will see that 200 million, when they share that money, we don't get nothing. I said, do you even know how much they sell for in Nigeria? So Nigeria is not in the grand scheme of, I don't think there's any African country that want to come to Nigeria and work. And not to say that I don't recognize that Nigeria is still a strong economy regardless, but that people still come here to work. But when I'm talking about Africa's development, I don't really want to dwell on the religion, and I'll tell you why. I don't want to dwell on the religion because I picked up a Muslim woman, like fully covered, like, you know, the ninjas. And a guy joined, of course, with her. And so I dropped two of them in the airport. I was asking myself. In fact, I have to turn the radio off because I've had that experience before when this woman, and they always pray, even when they're in the taxi, they always pray. I don't know, they keep murmuring and praying. So the first thing she said to me was off the radio. So when this woman joined, I just off the radio. I didn't want to be told, I just off the radio. Maybe they don't like music, whatever. So I was asking myself, okay, this is not a Muslim country, but Muslims still come here for holidays, okay? Sometimes to leave. Why? Because probably it doesn't matter on the grand scheme of skins. You know, people just want to go to London, or probably they just want to go have fun, or they want to go to a place that is well developed and all of that. So for me, if Nigeria is well, even South Africa, was hearing that South Africa still have a power outage. So it's not like South Africa is even there yet. Maybe Egypt have uninterrupted power now. But say, for example, Lagos can guarantee 24 hours power, or Nigeria is having steady power. And then other African countries, whether their religion is traditional or, I beg your pardon, I'm so tired. I just came back from work. So, yeah, so whether their religion is Muslim or Christian, right? They can still come and enjoy a good life here in Lagos or in Nigeria. That is what I'm talking about. Because at the end of the day, money needs to exchange hands. Because of your Muslim, you get on my Uber, does not mean I won't charge you. Uber charges you whether you're Christian, you're Muslim, whatever. So London or the UK have managed to build a country, and they are still building. There's always works in London, always developing. A
system.
Powerful system that anybody can enjoy. Anybody can fly in. Anybody can have family here. So at the end of the day,
if you have, this is the problem we have in Nigeria and in Africa and in the whole Africa itself. First of all, we have no system. The political system is flawed. And I as a lawyer, I will always say the rule of law is fundamental. So if, for instance, you want to have a business in Nigeria, you'll be concerned about your safety, wouldn't you? You'll be concerned about the safety of your staff, of your life, and your properties.
So somebody said something. Somebody said something. Sorry to cut you in, but then he said that Lebanese Lebanese in Nigeria. So people from Lebanon and Nigeria have just celebrated over 60-something thousand people, right? In Nigeria. And they have a high number of Chinese and a high number of other countries in Nigeria. The same country that we are crying that we don't have this, we don't have that, people are enjoying it. So the way we come to UK to come and hustle and work and all of that, people are coming into Nigeria, they're making it. Now, if you want to do POP or you want to do tiling or you want to just, there's some people that come from, how is that country again? Just around Nigeria, like they come from that country and they are very good. They will tell you, get these boys, that the ones that do this job and they do it perfectly well. So there are people who are coming and they are doing these things. Lebanese are doing businesses and all of that. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that, yes, we're not there. And I know we're not there. But we need to start through ECOWAS and African Union, because that is UN will not do for you. All these organizations were not created from the interests of Africa. No. There are things World Bank will not do for you. There are things IMF will not do for you. The loan you have, you are paying. So we need to say, okay, we have all these minerals. How do we use our minerals? Africa has every mineral you can think of.
We don't have the systems in. I've told you before. What
no,
makes
I understand we don't have the systems, but what I'm trying to say to you is, okay, let me tell you something. Let me tell you what happened to me 2 days ago. You that think we have a system here. I am in a Bandi property. I'm living in a Bandi area. Yeah? Posh area. I pay a lot the council tax. In my council tax, they give me breakdown that this is for waste management, this is for police, this is for fire, blah, blah, blah. And the one time I need the services of the police, they failed me. I just lost my wallet. I left it on top of my car when I was putting luggages in. And I picked somebody from the airport, Heathrow, Terminal 5. I didn't know that their car park didn't have camera. Some terminals have camera, like Terminal 3. But then Terminal 5 didn't have camera, according to what they said. So I've left my wallet, forgot it, and drove up. So it fell down there. Do you know in some places like Dubai, somebody has left his phone and said, he videoed it actually. He kept it on and said, I will tell you how secure Dubai is. I'm going to leave my phone here. I'm going to go into the shop. I'm going to come back and my phone is going to be here. And he did it and his phone was there. If you try that in London, your phone is lost. Yes or no? No.
Yes.
Now, my wallet was lost. I woke up in the morning, a lot. And I was like, what's going on? Baba, what's going on? I'm seeing things. I did not do this. I did not do that. They are the ones that told me to go and check for. I told you my wallet is in my car. They are the ones that told me to go and check. So when I went to check, I said, my wallet don't go by me. My £110 cash, 3 cards. I didn't know they were swiping all the cards. So what am I trying to say? I reported to the police. They asked me for information. I gave them everything. Do you know what the police wrote to me, Tolu? That they are sorry that there is no need for any further investigation. That this case is now closed. That they don't have any resource. So I'm not looking at myself. So all these guys are doing, or they will carry their car. It is that I go where get sent. Now the one time I need you as a taxpayer, as somebody that pay a lot of tax on council, and every month I spend all this money. These idiots have the mind, the infantry, to write me that they don't have resource and they will not even spend any more 1 minute on it. So all my money gone. In fact, the advice police gave me was to even go and report to DVLA that my driving license had been lost, as if I didn't know before. Now, that is your system that you are alluding to. Now, somebody else, a tourist that I picked from Australia, said to me that we are mocked with somebody carrying a machete. And she first of all asked me the question, how secure is London? I said, London is so secure. There are so many cars that are marked. You can see the European police. The police is always there when you call and they're always there. After praising the woman, I said, do you know the reason I asked you the question? I said, no. He said somebody with machete was chasing them. I said, where? She mentioned the station. I was like, okay, I didn't know what happened there. And then she said it took one man to intervene and stop. And then police eventually came. I said, police came. Then I said it again. Yeah, I know police will come. I know they will come very quickly. But what I was talking was gibberish. Because the honest truth is that a lot of crime happened. Police will just come and blow in siren. That is the system. No.
Now,
I want to say something. Why am I telling you this?
Okay.
As unsecure as London is becoming, in fact, somebody from Scotland just told me today that Glasgow is very rough. Almost Liverpool is rough. London is rough. Everywhere is rough. Even Reading is rough. So what am I trying to say? People still trooping here, even though all these things happen. Now, I was now told today by some people at work that if you lose any money below 1,000, nobody chases you, even in America. Even in America, if you lose anything less than 1,000, police don't have time for you. Or unless you lose big money, probably they will have time. So that tells you something. So if I'm a criminal, if I choose to be a criminal now, all I need to do is to be thieving less than 500. I'm good. I provided the shop, they swapped my card. I provided the time, provided the money, the amount, everything. And they told me there will be no further investigation.
No, that's not.
And I even heard that if a burglar burgle your house and they take anything less than 1,000, police will give you, they will just, all they do is to give you an incident number and tell you to report to insurance and they will pay up. They will tell you to go, if it's a credit card fraud, they will tell you to report to the bank, they will return the money.
I was just
today, where did the bank get the money from? Is it that the shop that they done the transaction, they have to receive the money? They said no. Banks will take money from their own income and pay you.
No, that's not correct. That is where I was trying to tell you. I was trying to stop you from there and explain. There is a system. That what you just described now is a system that works. And I will explain. It's a criminal offense, but it's called simple offenses or misdemeanor. There's no threat to life. There's insurance across the board. So if somebody stole my wallet and took my credit card and my debit card and swiped it, I call my bank. My bank will block the card. My bank will refund the money because I'm a victim of fraud.
But not the cash. The cash is gone.
No, I'm coming.
My cash
theft
was gone.
If it was cash, your cash will be gone. It's everywhere. Your cash will be gone.
No. But I just told you that there are countries that did you know there are countries that don't shut their doors, but not London.
I know. There's something I'm coming at something.
Yes.
Compare those countries with London for crying out loud. Come on, let's be honest.
No,
this is London.
No, I'm telling you the system. You see?
I know. I'm not supporting the system. I'm only showing you that there is always.
You said it's a system that works, but I don't see it working. Because what you don't realize is that the most common thing for people to lose are phones and wallets. Now, I've picked 2 people's phones that they've left in my car. Twice. In those 2 instances that I saw it, they gave me a monetary gift back.
Yeah, thank you.
£20 and £50.
If it was credit card, you get a refund, but not debit card. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no. Yeah. No, the bank said they will refund me. The 2 banks, both Santander and Barclays said they will refund me. Exactly. But my cash is gone. My BP card, okay, let's say all the cards I can retrieve with just a process. But what I'm trying to say is that more to the fact of what I lost is the reaction I got for the police is annoying. And what I think is all I needed to do was to go to this place which I have the address. Because I even asked somebody, I said, What if me drive there and say, they will not show me the CCTV because I'm not a police officer, right? But if police go there, which is what they suggested in their first email anyway, if they go down there and say, listen, we want to see between this time and time who swap these cards, they can see. But they told me that they don't have the resource to do the investigation, maybe because it's under 1,000. I get the whole small offenses and demeanor. But Baba, when it comes to me paying tax, I pay. Now, I pay for police services, and the only one time I needed their service, please, in my years of being in this country, I've been paying you. Baba, help me find my wallet. Let's say something I can forsake. It's like when you get your speed ticket or you get your parking ticket, they don't care, they force you to pay it. Even if you cry and say, I'm homeless, I'm this, I'm that, they will collect their money because they are all about their money. So now you lost your own money and they're looking at it and saying, it's not big enough, go and deal with it. So for me, I felt bad for that. If you are, say, for example, in a country like Dubai, people have said it many times, if you forget your thing in the taxi anywhere, now if you forget something if you say, because I drive for Uber will write me and say somebody forget something. I say, yeah, I've already returned. Before Uber will write, I'll say I've already returned it. Uber will say thank you because they don't pay you for returning it.
Sorry. Did you see what El said? That's why you
pay premium for being insured. Now, being insured is a mitigation. It doesn't take away the problem. People don't get this. Even in Nigeria, there are people who will pay insurances. Will they steal your car? Yes, they will steal your car. Do you know how many Range Rovers have been lost in this country? Do you know how many cars have been stolen? The police don't even bother. And that's why these guys continue doing these things. Because the thing is, if you negate crime, it will stop. If you allow it and say you don't have time, these people will bank on it. Now, if I've said this to people, they will say, so if I steal. Now, if they see money, all they need to do is to count it. Or if they get credit card, all they do at the time, still under 500 or probably 300 or under 1,000, police will not bother. Are you getting where I'm coming from? The police is to protect lives and properties. They are not protecting properties in that way. Yes, it's my fault that I forgot my wallet, but it could happen to anyone. 2 times I pick people's phones. In fact, in my life, I pick phones a lot of times. I return it. If you give me money, it's up to you. But for me, it's not about, in fact, sometimes it's not about how much the phone is priced, but the contacts, the pictures, the memories, everything. So it's important to the person that has it. Cars can be damaged, accident, etc. Yes, I understand. But you need to understand, like, in this country, even if you have burgled, police don't care. But you see them, sometimes they are looking for things that are not there. They are driving in the city looking. When there are real problems,
they're looking for you.
I think they are looking to do something important. They are going to go and eat kebab or they are going to
driving without insurance, they'll be looking for you. They'll be stopping you.
Exactly. A lot of people have been stopped for no reason. They'll be asking you stupid questions. You're just trying to show service in the community and show that they are working. When you have the real problem, a lot of people have said that they've reported things to police, they didn't get, and people know these things. So people that want to commit crime will continue committing crime. So the faith we had in police at the time is dropping. And because of that, crime is also increasing. But we need to get back to the point whereby it's like in Nigeria. Everybody knows if you lose your thing, Otilo. If you got police, they go thief more on top. They go collect more forcefully on top. So because of that, nobody cares about reporting nothing to the police. Unless the hospital say you must go and collect police reports before we treat you. But we need to change that. Anyway, that's because we brought up this place as a system. Let's go back to the point. Africa needs to overlook our security challenges. After all these Oyibo people, they come Nigeria. Even if it means, I met a young guy. He said he's part of the security that stays with all these posh people. That they are allowed and licensed to carry firearms as bodyguards of celebrities, including Burna Boy. When Burna Boy goes to the UK, they are an agency. They work with police as well. They are mufti. You wouldn't know. You can call all these services, even in Nigeria, and then come and do your your holiday. So what I'm alluding to is that Africa needs to start looking inward. We need to start going on holidays in Africa, spend money in Africa, make Africa the same, because Africa has one thing, we have good weather. I was being told in Morocco by a Moroccan, yes, private security, that Morocco has skiing mountains. So the mountains are so cold, they have ice. The same Morocco has desert. The same Morocco has what do you call it? Well, nice holiday resort and everything, right? So why can't somebody in Nigeria say, okay, for my summer holiday, I'm going to Casablanca, for example, or I'm going to go to Ghana, Kumasi, and then Ghanaians say we're going to go Lagos. You know what that is going to do to Africa? First of all, it's going to start bridging gaps. It's going to start developing love. Then it's going to start developing business ideas. Now, I like what some people are doing. You see people like Mr. Easy going to, is it Rwanda or Gambia that he went to go and develop or build estates, go into real estate. I met an Egyptian, he said to me, brother, I want to go and invest in Gambia. That's what I want to hear. If you say, for example, oh, I don't like Nigeria, it's too okay, let me go and invest in Sierra Leone or even Liberia. That's what I want to hear. Because look at what EU is doing. You will see businesses, say for example, any franchise you like, any franchise for that matter, they will have a branch here in London, they will have a branch in Paris, they will have a branch, and people who probably use these services in one part of the country or in one country will go to another country and see that, of course, oh, this thing is here, they will go and use it. Are you getting it? Why can't Africans start doing these things? Why can't we build chain of businesses that you can easily see in every African country? Why can't we start loving Africa? We have the sun, we have the weather, we have some beautiful places, we have the minerals. Why can't Congo, for example, hire expatriates from Nigeria? Why does Nigeria feel like they have to belong to the Nigerian market once you come out of university? Since you have a lot of doctors, instead of going to Saudi, instead of going to Britain, instead of going to America, why can't you go to another African country?
That's right.
So we need to do these things intentionally. These are what the EU did after the World War II. And that's why, I don't know if you've noticed, Tolu, if you're entering into some cities, you will see a little signboard. They will tell you the name of the place. Say, for example, you're coming into Wokingham, they will say Wokingham. And then they will put the French flag, put the German flag, put a bright flag. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't know if you've seen it. Say, for example, if you're going to some places now, you will see, they will tell you the name of the place. Say, for example, they will say, welcome to Angel or Islington. Now, under there, you will see some flags of some countries. All these things they allow some countries to come, invest. You know, there is that, do you understand? And most of them are Europe. If you go to Asia, probably they have the same. So we Africans, instead of waiting till when these people have mercy on us and send us foreign aid and help us, blah, 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 we need to start circulating our wealth within. Religion shouldn't play a role. You have Muslims here, you have Christians here, you have Hindu here, you have all sorts of religion in the UK. And they do these things without fearing about anything. Without thinking, oh, I'm not going to be acceptable. I'm not going to be accepted. No. There's a system. That system is not so good. Police is trying their best. There is no, at least, you know, it's relative calm. The little they are doing is why we can sleep at night. So all fair play to them. I'm only talking personally what they're taking from me every month. And the services they gave me was very, very poor. But at the same time, let's just say they are working for every other person. Let's just say they have more serious things to attend to. Let's just use that argument. But what we're trying to say is that there's nothing stopping. You see, I like that series, Rich, Famous, and Rich, Young, and Famous. That two Baba, some people from Kenya. What's this the singer's name from Tanzania? God,
what's his name?
The guy from Tanzania. I don't know what his name now. And then from South Africans.
I know him, but yeah.
It's not Fally Ipupa. Hey, why did I forget his name? You know the guy I'm talking about. Yeah. So when all these guys came and shot that movie with Tuboba and the rest, I kind of like that working together. Do you understand? Or when I see Basketmouth doing shows and bringing some African celebrities, I like that. Now, what we need to do is, when a musician say, I'm going on a tour, of course, musicians do it a lot, especially our musicians, they go all African countries and they do shows in stadiums. So, movies as well, we need to start looking inward. They will ask you, how many African countries? You see, I appreciate what you just told me that I've been to 12 African countries. Me, how many have I been to? Only on transit have I been to Casablanca and Addis Ababa. In fact, in Addis Ababa, I lodged in the hotel for a few hours because the airline lodged us because our connection was a bit long. Do you understand? And I felt good. Yes, it's terribly hot there in Addis Ababa, but it's good to have a feel of Africa. And yes, we understand that we're not going to get that London feel or that Europe feel, but let us be okay with our feel, because you're not expecting the Europeans. In fact, I even met more Europeans that have told me that, oh, I've been to safari in Kenya. Oh, I love Kenya. It's one of my best places in the world. And I'm there looking like, huh? I don't even know where Kenya is.
But you've been to Canada, you've been to America, you've been to Australia.
No, I've not been to Canada. Stop it. I've not been to America. I've only been to Paris. I've been to Portugal, Italy. Where else have I even been to? I've not been to a lot of places, so I've only been to a handful of places, to be fair. You know, I'm not like you that travels a lot. So I need to travel, but at the same time, I need to go to South Africa. I like what I see in that movie. I see Cape Town, I see Joburg. There's a lot of time, there was a time a lot of our Nigerian musicians used to go to South Africa to shoot. Our cultural experience is unique. Yes, we need that more collaboration. You see, Africa is waking up. We are beginning to ask the right questions. France came up, I think it was Britain that first said it. Boris was saying that global Britain. France wants to do global French as well. Do you understand? So now they brought Africans on the table and was asking the question. The South African president told the said, all these your Security Council, not even one African country is represented. That's not how to do things. So now they are beginning to speak truth to power. Our own Nigeria, we are busy. I see Nigeria is taking the back seat. We need to wake up and join the forefront of these African nations that are trying to mash up to the rest of the world and speak, the truth to power. And more so, Nigeria should help other African countries grow, because we have the human resource, and people should feel better or even feel free to live in any other African country than going to Europe or going to Asia or going to America. That's what I think. Go on.
To be honest, I think you are very correct in terms of collaboration, and like L211 said, we need to have a culture of collaboration, and our culture and experience is quite unique, so we can actually have the kind of synergy and the kind of relationship across the continent. But we need to invest in our system. Like you said about the UK system, it's not 100% perfect, but it is perfect enough for you to be able to sleep at night and take your children to school and be sure that you can go back to school and pick your children safe and sound. Okay? So to a large extent, they have a working system. So Africa must build systems, and the system must be built, first of all, on the rule of law. And I'm talking as a lawyer now. And as an investor, if you are bringing money to Nigeria, you are bringing investment opportunities to Nigeria, the first three things you are concerned about is security of your life, security of your properties, and health and safety. Three things you are thinking about. Can we guarantee those three things in Nigeria today? Can we guarantee those three things in Africa? Policies, rubbish. Legal system, rubbish. Now, these are the fundamentals. If we don't get these fundamentals right, there is no way we are going to be developing. And if you notice something else as well, I promise. African leaders are very intelligent. They have good theoretical intelligence. They can talk, they can bamboozle everybody. They will go to, this guy, this president, what's his name? Ghanaian president. What's his name now?
I don't even know that one's president.
That short man. What's his name again?
Is that tall big one? Is he gone?
No, the short one, the one that is there now, the one that is leaving very soon. That short man is very short. Ghanaian president. Please, anybody in the house that knows his name. I can't remember his name now. He can speak very well. He can speak truth to power. He is very, very fair, But little policies. Tinubu can speak very well. The guy in Kenya can speak very, very well. The new president, before Kenyatta, after Kenyatta, what's his name now? He can speak very well.
Is it Ruto?
Oh yeah, but policy-wise, we are still lacking behind. So we need a working system, health and safety, security of life and properties, and a working law. Legal system that is working. Those are the three things we need first to build a system. Then once you build that system, then you can start building everything on it. Like you can start building, say, for instance, you want to build good schools, good policies, like Elvis said, policies. Yeah, Akufo-Addo. Yeah, thank you. That's his name.
Yeah, Akufo-Addo, yes, yeah.
I
don't know that man is short. Are you sure he's short?
He's so short. What do you mean? He's very short. He's 5'4", 5'5". He's very short. But he can speak. He's very intelligent. My point, though, is that we need working policies. We need working systems.
Let me tell you something.
That's the background.
Let me tell you something. I'm trying to think about the EU many years ago. I'm trying to think about the EU many years ago, how they started. I need you to understand that Nigeria is not Nigeria, Africa is about 50 years back. All of us know the 2023. Whether you like it or not, all of us know the 2023. Sweden is probably 2050. UK is probably 2040. America 2040. Germany probably 2040. Then Australia maybe 2030. Are you getting me? And then Canada and the rest, But then Nigeria, we did 1950. We are very far behind.
You see that maybe 1920. That's where we are right now. 1920.
Are you getting me? So what we are still struggling with are things that these countries have achieved long ago.
Long time ago.
When you talk about steady power, what I'm understanding is that no African country have uninterrupted power, because I used to think South Africa have uninterrupted power. But I'm being told by South Africa recently that they still take light. They might want to tell you that they're going to take light, but they still take light. So maybe Egypt is the only country that have power uninterrupted. So we are still miles away from where the rest of the world is. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that if we cannot solve something as simple as power that you can copy and paste what other countries are doing, and we have so many oceans, so many seas, we have solar, we can have nuclear and everything, and yet we have wind, though we can use wind. Do you know, God, do you know that Morocco is giving a lot of electricity to some countries? People don't know this because there's a lot of windmill there. Now, what I'm talking about is, instead of Nigeria over signing agreements and going into alliances with a lot of Western countries, be it Britain, Belgium, America, all these places, these people that always flood Abuja and Aso Rock, why not we start talking to ECOWAS and talking to our African brothers? Let us start bridging the gap. Instead of running pipe or crude straight from Nigeria down to Belgium or down to Europe, why not we start helping Africa grow? Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Why not we start looking for a way we can start moving, have easy access to do business everywhere, where you can open a franchise and that franchise will be in every African nation.
That is why
these guys intentionally did it to grow the EU, and they adopted one currency apart from Britain. Not every country joined the EU. They were joining in sections. So if we have African Union, that Kofi Annan was the secretary to, is it the African Union or UN then? But anyway, these things were in place before. Why can't we keep these things going? No. Why, especially now that we are beginning, especially now we have a few good heads as presidents in Africa. Say, for example, you have the South African president is smart, you have the Kenyan president is smart, you have the Rwanda president is smart. Then you probably, when we get P2B, get these people in.
You go Ghana president, that short man. Very
smart, but then let them leave all this. See, Africa needs to start looking at themselves as, listen, we are brothers. We need to do these things. These guys are not going to come on holiday to our shores. These guys are not going to come and help us. Let us start helping ourselves.
Let me give you a bit of enlightenment. Africa is divided into 3 or 4 sub-regions. ECOWAS, UMOA, which is divided into Francophone and Anglophone version of ECOWAS. UMOA and ECOWAS, South African Development Commission, COMESA, Commission of East and Southern Africa. Okay, 4 regions.
We have AU. We have African Union.
I'm coming. African Union is nothing. It's political. Is more or less. It's nothing.
You call it nothing. We need to revive it. It's the same as having EU.
I'll show you something.
Union.
No. I'm showing you something. Now, we have 4 sub-regions that I've mentioned to you now. Out of those sub-regions, we have Portuguese countries, English-speaking countries, French-speaking countries. We even have Arabic-speaking countries.
Yes.
Ask me which country. I can count 3 or 4 that they speak Arabic.
I know, because I've met these people. But even more to it, even Libyans say they have Christians in there. It's a mixture.
Now, I want to
Cameroon was colonized by the Portuguese and the Spanish and the English.
No. The French and English. The French.
Sorry, Morocco. I'm talking about Morocco.
Oh, Morocco.
According to them, they said it was Spain and Britain, right?
Okay. Now I want to show you something quickly.
Yeah.
There's an agreement that was signed 2-3 years ago. It's called African Continental Free Trade Agreement. AfTA. That agreement allows every African citizen to move around the country and do business without any hindrance. But it's still an agreement at the moment. Okay. Some countries will not be bound by that agreement unless they take that agreement to their national assembly.
When you were going to these African countries, did you need visa? Or where did you need visa for?
This is where I was trying to. That's a very good question. When I was going to Rwanda, sorry, not Rwanda. When I was going to Liberia, I did not need a visa. I just got stamped. When I was going to Seychelles, I did not need a visa. The only place I had issues was, I think it was Kenya. Sorry, Mauritius. At Mauritius, they were asking me that did I apply for visa online? I said no. Then I said, where am I coming from? I said from the UK. Then I said I should show them my BRP. Then it was via BRP. So I showed my BRP, and then they stamped me in, and they used the pen to write the dates, and that's it. So maybe because I'm from the UK, it makes it easy for me.
Because Mauritius is not. I think Mauritius is still a colony in a way. Even Seychelles is still, or Cape Verde. All these people, they are still under some places administration for Spain or administration by the French.
No,
these people are still
independent. The only problem is just
that they're independent, but sometimes the police there is by Jonathan.
Exactly my point. So when you talk about African development, these are shackles. I do that. I wrote
shackles,
about that.
But notwithstanding, what we see. Listen to what I'm trying to say. If you are an apprentice, one day you want to be a master. Until you can prove your master that you've learned this job, your master will still be seeing you as a learner. But one day he said, Master, I am due. I can do this thing on my own. Master will say, okay, see shop, see goose, I'll settle you. Go and do. And master will be watching you. Now, what Nigeria and a lot of African countries have done repeatedly without saying a word or saying it is that we are showing our colonial masters that we are incapable of running ourselves, which is why they are always stepping in. How can EU or the EU UK be sending delegates to monitor our election and still have flaws in it? How can they be giving us a whole lot of money to help us do elections? These are the factors. So because we are unable to do these things for ourselves. Are you getting me? So at the end of the day, some people have said, if somebody said if they put sheep in Lagos and said free boat to UK for slaves, he said a lot of people will jump on it. That's how bad it is. So now, if all of us, or say for example, Nigeria now they do well. If say Nigeria now they do well like Giant of Africa, they can approach Census and say, Census, let's administer. I think it was Peter Obi that said he went to Haiti and he found out that Nigerian police are in Haiti. There was a time that we are respected as the giants of Africa. In Liberia, Nigerians did the peacekeeping mission. They say around the same thing. We've lost that stand because we can't even put our house together anymore. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So most of these foreign policies became an overburden. Our embassies became a even if you go to Nigerian house in the UK here and look at the wiring, you will have mercy. You will have pity. So all I'm trying to say is that Africa needs to start looking inward. And big economies like Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt need at least have steady power. Industrialize your system. Industrialize your system and also empower your youth. Let the economy be booming. And then speak to all these little islands. And let us be closing in and be Africa. If we must come up to the rising, if we must be able to, because if you look at what is happening in Europe, you see that Europe is falling apart. Because Russia is part of Europe. Ukraine is part of Europe. Do you understand? Europe is falling apart. Of course, all these problems, all these killings is going to affect them. So this is the time for Africa. Instead of going to fight in the Nigeria war, let us be building peace. Instead of having xenophobia or having Ghanaians pursue Nigerians, we should be preaching peace. We should be coming together. We should be doing businesses together. We should find a way to employ ourselves. Ghanaians can be smart. I've met Ghanaians that are extremely smart. Are you getting me? Let us do that Pan-African business-oriented relationship. And let us be able to grow, develop Africa. Even if we have, like right now, I always try to patronize African airlines, right? Either it is Ethiopia or Royal Air Maroc or Nigerian Airways or, let us build that. Make your holiday destination an African place or an African country. It's a sightseeing. After all, what else do you do in holiday? You go to a hotel, you look around, you take picture, you shop food. That's all. You can do that in any African country.
Exactly. Yeah.
You sleep and you wake up, time to go, you go. And the thing that we don't realize is that we think anywhere is safe, but if you are from that country, you will go back to that country anyway. So that means everywhere is safe enough. Let us start investing in Africa, developing in Africa, learning things in Africa. I never wondered, why is it that holiday is so important to a British person or a European person that they have to go to holiday every year? And most times it is cheaper to go to an EU country than to do holiday in the UK.
Yeah.
A lot of people have said it to me and I tested it was true. Legoland, and I took my family to the other day, I know how much I spent in Legoland. Do you understand? If you go EU country, Ryanair, sometimes some ridiculous price like £10, you will fly. Are you getting me? All these things, they are not stupid. They know that for £10 they will carry you to that country. You end up spending 500 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They know that if they take you for £12, it is not the £12 that matters. But once you carry luggage, you go pay £50 for luggage. And you don't go
Yes.
travel with that luggage.
So
All these things are
you
strategic
pay priority, you
agreement.
pay everything. From there, you have
Exactly.
the extra
You pay
money.
insurance, you pay cancellation, whatever. So at the end of the day, you need to understand the game. Africa needs to, if Nigeria wants to start it to say, okay, we're opening our borders. UK did it. UK was the viable economy then. A lot of Eastern Europeans, Hungary, Lithuania, Poland, all these places, Hungary, they beat them. But they opened their borders at the time. Germany opened their borders. France opened their borders. They started doing EU together. Switzerland, all of them. Hmm? But that helped them grow. Today, at least all of them are doing well. In fact, when Greece was
I need
broke,
to.
they put money together to help Greece.
I need to go quickly. Sorry.
Okay. Thank
I'll
you
join
so
back.
much, Kulu. I'm even
No
rounding
worries.
off. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
No
Thank you.
problem. All right.
Thank you. Bye, bro.
Bye.
So this is it. As Africans, we need to start developing Africa. Nobody will give it to us on a platter. We need to start going on holidays in Africa. I love when I heard that African countries are patronizing innocent, buying innocent cars, even Jamaica. Yes, we are supposed to be, just like Caribbeans are very expensive. If not, I would say, go to holidays in Caribbean. Let's help our people. Let's learn from others how they do their things. African Union needs to meet. Everybody open your border. Once you carry an African passport, you should be able to enter any country. Yes, we are relatively poor, but let us be circulating the little wealth we have within Africa. And then big economies provide power. As Nigeria is providing uninterrupted power, South Africa is providing uninterrupted power, Ghana is providing uninterrupted power, Egypt is providing uninterrupted power. Before you know it, Africa will rise together. But if everybody is selfish, business ruling for 34 years, even when they are disabled, and people don't want to leave government, everybody thinking about how to loot money, then it is nonsense. Africa will forever remain a poor continent, even though we are so rich. So this broadcast is purely for us to look inward as Africans and do the right thing. And I hope as you watch and listen, you share it around, send it to others, and encourage others. Let your next destination, holiday destination, whether this year or next year, be in Africa. For example, I go to Nigeria every year. Sometimes Nigeria doesn't have an airline, so I also have to fly other African airlines. It's a way of also contributing to the economy of that place. I invest heavily in Nigeria. I send money almost all the time. I'm sending money to Nigeria. It's a way of helping. So let's develop Africa, and we need to do it ourselves. These guys cannot do it for you. They loot your minerals and your gold, and they develop their own place. And you come and stay in their code. But we have a beautiful place, beautiful weather, nice food, nice land, fertile land that we could stay and enjoy, and we abandon it. So I hope this message sends the right. I hope this live sends the live message to you, and we can start applying it. And to our leaders, collectively, not just Tinubu and the rest, we hope that we will continue to work for the betterment of Africa and stop the looting, stop the corruption, because it will not get us anywhere. Rather, we are enslaving our children to the hands of the same colonial masters. If Africa is good, everybody will come back. Yes. Just like the Chinese went back to China and developed China. We need to come back and develop Africa. And that is to all Africans. Thank you, and God bless you. Goodbye until next time.